going on, everybody? Civ checking in, and welcome back to another Civ's Advanced Analysis NBA Edition video. A subsection here on the channel where I not only talk about the recent trades that happened in the NBA world, but I also give you all as fans a little taste as to what you can expect from the players as they join your respective clubs in the foreseeable future. And in today's video, and more specifically this video, we're going to be talking about the major blockbuster trade that happened between the Los Angeles Lakers and the Dallas Mavericks this past weekend. More specifically, we're going to be talking about the Dallas Mavericks because they traded away Luka Doncic and got Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and a few other players, I think maybe picks, but they got some picks out of it. And to be honest with you all, if I was confused initially about the Lakers' direction, especially given that trade, in terms of Dallas, I am 10 times more confused. And even now, while I'm recording the video, I'm still really confused on what direction the Dallas Mavericks are really trying to go, especially in the long term. But that is something that we will be discussing later on in this video. So without further ado, let's talk about everything that you all as Dallas Mavericks fans needs to know about Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and how your future as a Maverick is going to look like, especially in the seasons to come. So without further ado, let's get started. Now right off the bat, in terms of Anthony Davis, honestly his game is pretty much self-explanatory, especially if you've been watching him on the Los Angeles Lakers, because coming into the Los Angeles Lakers, not only did he have a good mid-range shot as well as a three-point shot, but also I believe that his defense is actually something to be noted, because even though he had a really good defense scheme going into the Lakers, during his time with the Lakers organizations and the guidance of LeBron James as his teammate, he was able to fix those minuscule things on his defense that really helped him become that elite defender that he is today. And I believe that through his elite defense, as well as the fact that he has a really strong mid-range and a three-point shot, he was able to use all those skills interchangeably to ultimately help the Los Angeles Lakers win that championship in the bubble. So with all that being said, with this trade that sends Anthony Davis to the Dallas Mavericks, Mavs fans, you can expect that defense as well as his mid-range shot and three-point shot to work in your favor, especially when facing teams that require the game to go down to the clutch, because in those specific moments, especially when you need a big man to really space the floor, Anthony Davis can be that person if he's playing at that power forward position, which is most likely what is going to happen given the fact that they have Derek Lively or Daniel Gafford at that center position. So it really looks good for Anthony Davis in terms of his skills and assets in the short term. And I'm hoping that is what the Dallas Mavericks organization was expecting out of this trade by getting Anthony Davis. And on the flip side, in regards to Max Christie joining the Dallas Mavericks, I believe that this might be super underrated pickup for the Dallas Mavericks, and in fact might be the talk of the trade, especially a few years from now, because not only is this man super young, being in his second or third season, I believe, but in his short time with the Los Angeles Lakers, you can really tell that this man has been growing at an exponential rate, not only from a physical standpoint, but also from a basketball IQ standpoint, because not only is he getting to his spots in a very effective manner, but his ability to analyze the opponent's defense schemes are off the charts too, which is the main reason why he's able to quickly identify the opponent's weak side defense and always capitalize it on that. In fact, when you look at him when you look at how he played in the recent games closer to the trade deadline for the Lakers, you can tell that LeBron James has always been looking for him, especially on the weak side defense, and he was always there to answer the calls. So with this trade sending Max Christie to the Dallas Mavericks, I am sure that Kyrie Irving will definitely benefit from this, because he will be able to dish it off to Max Christie for some easy buckets, especially when so much of the defense will be focused on him and trying to get the ball out of his hands. So it's really good that Kyrie Irving has somebody to pass that ball off to, especially in the fast court setting. And I believe that Max Christie will be able to grow from this and get even better, and hopefully will be able to get into a very big role with the Dallas Mavericks down the line as well in future seasons. Now, even though I talked about Anthony Davis as well as Max Christie's positives as well as what they can bring to the Dallas Mavericks, it does not dismiss the fact that there are some problems that the Dallas Mavericks have, especially in terms of the future, which definitely needs to be addressed, because if not, well, even though the short term is looking good for the Dallas Mavericks, the long term does look a little dark. And I believe that the suggestions that I may be able to give in the later stages of this video might help the Dallas Mavericks, especially in their long-term goals. So without further ado, let's talk about the problems that seem to arise with this trade. Now, the first major problem that I see for the Dallas Mavericks organization based on this trade is actually a two-part problem, being one, chemistry, and two, the injuries. Because honestly, these two-part problems are actually going to be super detrimental for the Dallas Mavericks if they're not fixed in a timely manner. Firstly, for the chemistry, it's going to be very weird, especially how the team gels with each other going forward, because even if you add Anthony Davis and Max Christie, in reality that Dallas Mavericks team was all centered around Luka Doncic. What I mean is all of the players on the Dallas Mavericks was added or shaped their game to fit Luka Doncic's game and really complement what he's doing. So with Luka Doncic out of the lineup or out of the whole team, what does that do to the rest of the team? Who knows? It really is a very bizarre situation, and it's really possible that a lot of these players, especially those players off the bench, will need to adjust their game to match not only one starter but all five starters, so that there doesn't seem to be a lack of production when they get into the game. So that is something that needs to be carefully considered going forward, and the correct steps need to be taken in order to ensure that that kind of drop off in production does not occur. And that leads me to the second sub problem that I have with the Dallas Mavericks as part of this main big concern, and that is the injuries. Because when you look at the whole Dallas Mavericks roster as of now, including Anthony Davis and Max Christie, outside of Max Christie and a few other young players that the Dallas Mavericks have, all of the veterans have had major injuries. I'm talking Kyrie Irving, Klay Thompson, Anthony Davis, who is injury prone, and he's definitely injury prone because he was more injured on the Lakers than anywhere else. Dwight Powell, PJ Washington, Derek Lively, Daniel Gafford, the list goes on and on and on. All of these players had major injuries at one point in their career. So when Anthony Davis and Max Christie comes in, as much as Anthony Davis is a really good guy on the offensive and defensive end, the rest of the team, I believe, is going to look at him being an injury prone guy and not really put their full faith in him, because he might be not available in the most important times of the game. And instead they're going to try to maximize their opportunities to really get their shots up and make sure that they look good for the organization, which really messes up the chemistry once again. The final problem that I have for the Dallas Mavericks based on this trade is, what is their future looking like, especially in the next 5 to 10 years? Because even though Anthony Davis is not the oldest, he is pretty old in comparison to the other NBA stars. And with every single year, his age is increasing, which means that there's going to be more wear and tear on his body. And it is very well possible that his body is not going to allow him to play sooner rather than later. So when his time is up and he has nothing else to give for the Dallas Mavericks, who is that player that's going to be that bright spot for the Dallas Mavericks in their foreseeable future? Well, everyone, And Mavs fans, I believe that for the time being, I think that is why they brought in Max Christie, because as I've said before in the positives that I gave for Max Christie, this man is pretty young, and if he continues to develop the way that I believe he's going to develop in the Mavericks organization, he's going to not only come out as a very underrated player in the Mavericks organization, but also he's going to also make a name for himself in the NBA as whole. And quite frankly, with the success that he will hopefully get on the Dallas Mavericks, whether he's considered the franchise player for the team or he is the second in command to the main player that the Dallas Mavericks will be building in the future, I believe that Max Christie will have a significant impact in what the Dallas Mavericks do in their foreseeable future. And that is just a hunch, but it's something that if I was a Dallas Mavericks fan, I would definitely consider looking at, because there is not a lot of young players nowadays that has that kind of drive that he has, and I believe that the Dallas Mavericks might be a good place for him to really continue to grow and continue to really understand who he is as a basketball player as well. So yeah, overall this trade sending Anthony Davis, Max Christie and a bunch of picks to the Dallas Mavericks is actually an interesting trade, because while it does give some direction in terms of what the Dallas Mavericks want to do in the short term, being winning a championship, there's a lot of question marks that are in play both in the short term and long term, such as will the chemistry work between Anthony Davis as well as the rest of the Dallas Mavericks players, especially given the fact that Luka left, and number two, what does their future look like? Even though I said previously that Max Christie might be that player that the Mavericks can get behind in their long-term future, that is not definite, and that all depends on how much Max Christie grows. So there are definitely some question marks in the air, and we all need to check out and see how the Dallas Mavericks continue to grow in the future as well. Only time will tell. But for now, let me know in the comments below what you all thought about this trade. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Especially Mavericks fans. Let me know how you all felt about this trade. Especially the fact that you had to let go of Luka so suddenly. Are you happy with getting Anthony Davis as well as Max Christie, or are you still in denial or still sad that Luka left? Let me know all of your thoughts and feelings in the comments below. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video, whether that be talking Raptors, talking about more trades, or just talking about sports in general. Either way, I'll catch you all in the next video. And until then, Civ signing out.